there, trick-or-treating fanatics. Welcome back to tonight's flesh-ripping fear ride. Tonight, we get back to Doughboy420's little mini-series. So, sit back, relax, and grab some candy corn. It's time for The Call of Autumn, Part 3, The Witching Hour. Cavalier Dreams was a social media influencer that lived up to the screen name. A play on champagne wishes and caviar dreams, the catchphrase of Lifestyles and the Rich and Famous, an old show where they would show the homes of the disgustingly rich, while Cavalier meant to have a lack of concern for something important or serious. It was the perfect screen name for Jackson Craig. He was filthy rich and used his money to travel the world to find thrill-seeking adventures. He was mostly certainly disrespectful. It made for great videos. It got lots of views and lots of clicks because outrage sells, and if you didn't find him funny, you found him offensive. He was hated everywhere he went, treated the locals like crap, and was just all around rude. But the internet outrage machine ate it right up. The more offensive he was, the more attention he got, and that fed right into his adrenaline junkie attitude. He tricked foreign speakers to say racist or offensive things in English, things they did not understand. He paid his friends to say slurs to unsuspecting people and catch it on film for a laugh. He would put candy bars in his pockets and white melted chocolate all over public bathrooms or hotel rooms that he stayed at to make the poor workers believe it was feces. He traveled the world going from exotic location to exotic location, stealing hotel room sheets and pillows. He made fun of victims of Aokigahara Forest and even once stole bone fragments from the catacombs in Paris. The guy was disrespectful to everyone, the living and the dead. No matter how much controversy and internet hate hit him, he just kept going, kept making content, kept pushing the bar to get more views and piss more people off, and his latest stunt would bring him to a small rural town with a population less than that of his city high school. He planned to take a couple of his friends to a haunted house attraction in this little podunk town and harass the scare volunteers into tears for Halloween. But when the trio arrived at the haunted house, at the old school at the edge of town, they found that it was locked up and closed for the night. "Damn it!" Jackson yelled out. "What am I going to do now? I need some new Halloween content," he growled, trying to think of a backup plan. "Yo, is this a real dead body?" his friend Glenn said, poking at the man laying in front of the building with a stick. "No way, stupid. We're in front of the haunted house, dumbass. It's just a prop, a really good one, but it's just a dummy, kind of like you." Jackson balked at his friend's ignorance. "Too bad it ain't real. And that would have made for some killer content." Brian, the third member of the trio, joked. "Very funny," Jackson said. "But really, what am I going to do?" he asked, while doing a search on his phone to find ideas for a plan of action. Then, finally, it clicked. "Ah, here we go," he said, finding an article on his phone. "Let's summon some ghosts," he said. "Really, dude? Ghosts ain't real. Brilliant plan," Glenn said, pushing back at Jackson. "People get offended over everything now. Someone is bound to get butthurt if we make fun of dead people. Think about it. We find a graveyard, say some magic words, make some jokes about the people in the ground, and sit back and rake in the cash. Easy peasy," Jackson explained. "All right, I guess that sounds like the plan then." Glenn relented, and the three of them turned to move further into town, but in doing so, they bumped into a man dressed in orange and green, with a jagged, angular jack-o'-lantern mask obscuring his face. "Watch it, bud," Jackson growled, but got no response. "Hey, you hear him?" Brian asked in disgust. Still no response. "Shut up, hick," Jackson said, before pushing past the man and bumping his shoulder along the way. "Inbred probably doesn't understand," Brian suggested as they moved past him. The man just stood there and silently allowed them to pass, where they moved on into town to find the old cemetery where they once again began to film. "Richard Head? Yo, this guy's name's Dickhead," Brian laughed, pointing to one of the first headstones he saw. "William Billy Boy Roberts," Man, this place is a gold mine. What a redneck name. Jackson laughed. Let's say the words and summon some ghosts. Woo, Glenn suggested with a comical, mocking ghost moan at the end. Alright, here we go. We have to stand in a circle, Jackson said, reading from his phone. And we're supposed to hold hands, but I ain't holding hands with no guy. And besides, then I can't read the words, Jackson explained with a shrug. Alright, let's get a move on, Glenn insisted, obviously uncomfortable with the situation. Aw, what's the matter, Glenny Pooh? Am I sensing some fear? I thought ghosts weren't real. Jackson laughed at his friend's expense. Just shut up and read the words. I ain't scared of shit, Glenn growled in defense. Alright, easy there, Glenda. No need to get your panties in a twist. Jackson joked further before he began to read the words from his phone. His Latin sucked, and he wasn't sure he pronounced anything correctly, but he spoke the words to the best of his ability, trying to sound all mystical and magical to make fun of the whole idea, but in the end, just as expected, nothing happened. Told you ghosts weren't real, Glenn said with a smirk. Oh my god, I think it worked. What's that? Brian said, pointing off into the woods at the edge of the cemetery. Glenn's eyes immediately shot over to where he was pointing. What? I don't see nothing, he said, scanning the darkness. Roar! Jackson yelled, grabbing his friend's arm to scare him, and just as planned, he jumped with fright, causing the other two to burst into laughter. You should have seen your face, Brian laughed. Ghosts aren't real. What a wuss, Jackson added, poking fun. Funny, Glenn growled in embarrassment. Come on, it was great. Alright, let's get out of here. Ain't nothing gonna happen. You're scared as shit, though, Jackson laughed further before the trio made their way to the cemetery gates to leave. But when they got there, they found those gates closed and locked. The cemetery was tiny. No one could have closed the gate without them being spotted beneath the nearby streetlights, so the trio were at a loss of how it could have happened. They all had theories, but none of the ideas made any sense, so in the end, they shrugged it off and decided to climb the fence to get out. Jackson sent Glenn to climb the fence, but as soon as he had jumped onto the chain links, the other two spotted a figure standing in the road beneath the streetlight. It was a man that they had bumped into earlier, probably getting revenge for their previous actions. Hey, could you let us out of here, please, man? We're sorry about earlier, Jackson asked the person, trying to reason with him, but he just stood there in silence, his head down, covering his face in shadow. Hey, did you lock us in here? Could you tell us how to get the hell out? Brian then asked. Still, no response. Hey, we're talking to you, Jackson shouted at him, as Glenn continued to climb the fence. Then the three of them stopped when the man's hand shot up from his side, pointing to the darkness of the cemetery behind him. Glenn continued climbing as the other two looked back to see what the strange man was pointing at, and then they saw them. Dozens of shadows, moving shakily through the darkness, treading toward them. Shit, Brian yelled before jumping onto the fence to escape the confines of the cemetery, causing the fence to shake, which brought Glenn back to the ground, where he hit with a thud. He immediately got back up and once again tried to climb the fence, Jackson following with him, but in their panic, none of them could maintain a grip on the fence. The strange man's arm fell once again to his side as the shadows grew closer, converging upon their targets like a swarm of darkness. The three boys screaming for their lives as if they were swallowed up into the lurking abyss, leaving the streets empty like they nor the man were ever there at all. Well, ask not for whom the bell tolls, because it tolls for you, because you're dead. But just in case I'm wrong, don't forget to stop in tomorrow for Night Spookathon. See you there. Social media can be very unpredictable, especially regarding horror content. If this content gets removed, all new content will be simultaneously presented on various websites provided in the description to this video. Make sure to follow me in other digital spaces so that you never miss out on the terror. Also, if you like this video, make sure to leave a comment and hit the like button. It helps the channel a lot. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy what's here, consider hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you never miss an upload. Writing is a dream of mine, and it's all of you that make that dream come true.